we are going to look at 3 common reasons as to why you may feel strong, intense emotions, and a couple of very practical things that you can begin to do right away to help manage these emotions more effectively, more in a healthy way, but also to prevent these explosions of emotions from taking place in the future. So the first reason for why you may have such strong, intense emotions is because you have repressed emotions. You have been suppressing, ignoring, pushing down your emotions for a long time, maybe for the majority of your life. You have not been expressing them. And emotions are energy in motion. So they are meant to be in motion. They are meant to come to you for you to feel them and then release them. But there's a key step here. Feel them. If we do not feel them and acknowledge them first, then they are not released and they stay stuck within your body, trapped within your body, within your subconscious mind, until a later time in life where something comes up, some sort of similar situation, some sort of trigger that is related to that emotion, that is related to that original conflict that you felt, that first caused this emotion to rise for you, but you never dealt with, right? So it's been left unresolved. So then you go throughout life, and when you feel triggered, something similar happens to that original conflict, the emotions come up again. And it's basically your emotions asking for another opportunity to be felt and to be acknowledged so that they can be released. Our emotions are our messengers, and they come to deliver a message. After they deliver the message, they are meant to move on. But if we don't hear the message because we don't feel them, because we just push them down, we ignore them, or we grab alcohol or some food, some sugary food, or whatever it is, and distract ourselves from having to feel these intense, sometimes very difficult emotions, we're not giving them the opportunity to be released. And so they stay there and they continue to get activated and to come up every time that same original wound is triggered. However, if you are experiencing explosive, very intense emotions when you get triggered, this means that you have been carrying these trapped emotions within you for a long time. And every time they try to come up, you continue to push them down and ignore them and repress them. And so it really builds up over time. Your body can only hold so much. I was actually talking to my daughter about this a few days ago, and I use this analogy that I'll use with you here now as well. So, for example, I have this mug, right? I have this cup, and it's like every time, something happens that initiates, that activates some sort of feeling within me, some emotions. Maybe I feel like something's unfair, so I feel frustrated and angry. And so the cup begins to fill up, with water representing the emotions. And if I express those emotions, I allow myself to feel them, then it just drains right back out, until the next time something happens again. Now, maybe this time I feel disappointment and sadness. Well, it begins to fill up again, but if I release that, maybe by talking about it, writing about it, or just allowing myself to sit with that emotion and feel it, then it begins to drain back out. What happens though is when we don't feel it or we don't express it, and therefore it's repressed and trapped within your body. And so while the emotion begins to fill up the cup, we're not releasing it, right? We're not draining it out, so it stays there. And the next time a similar strong emotion comes up, it fills it up a little bit more. And again, if we're not releasing it, it stays there, right? And each time it fills up a little bit more, until it's at the very limit, right? There's no more room. There's no more space for anything else. But yet again, we are triggered because nature is always looking for resolve. It's looking to resolve this conflict that is not being resolved because you're not acknowledging it. You're not allowing yourself to even acknowledge how you feel about it. And so once we get here and you're triggered yet again, it just spills over and it explodes, right? This is when it explodes and it's uncontrollable, and you may react in a way that you normally wouldn't. and generally don't feel good about. So nobody wants to get there, but we've probably all been there. And, it's not your fault. It's not anything to feel bad about. It's probably just how you learned from your parents or your caregivers or society when you were growing up. It's how you learned to react with the world and with the people around you. But it doesn't mean that it's loving to you. And it doesn't mean that that's the way that it's supposed to be or that it has to be and there's nothing you can do about it, because you can begin to release the emotions, begin to acknowledge them and feel them, and empty your cup. And then when something does happen and you do get triggered in some way, it doesn't feel so catastrophic. It doesn't feel so overwhelming, like it just takes over your life or your entire day. It consumes you. You can't think of anything else. And all of a sudden you've done something that you regret and you feel really bad about. And as much as you apologize and try to make up for it, you can never fully take back. And it leaves a mark on your relationship. It leaves a mark in your heart. And even sometimes in your entire life, certain explosions, certain decisions that we make sometimes because of these strong or explosive emotions can alter the entire trajectory of our lives. Now, the second reason is that emotions, as I mentioned before, emotions are messengers. They come to communicate something, to let us know how we're feeling deep down, how you are feeling beyond what may be perceived to the human eye. And they come to reveal how in alignment or not we are with what we're doing in our life. Is your career in alignment with your values or the lifestyle you see and want for yourself and maybe your family? Are your relationships or the place that you're living in, is it in alignment? Because if it's not, your body knows it and your subconscious knows it. And if you're not working towards changing that and stepping into a career that really feels fulfilling, that fills you with joy, that you feel passionate about, that you feel like that gives you purpose, if that's a desire that you have, or if you're living in a place that doesn't really align with your values or doesn't allow you to do the things that you really love to do, that really bring you joy, then emotions may come up to indicate this to you, to let you know that something is not in alignment. But if we ignore it, or we recognize it and realize that, yes, I need to make this change, but for whatever reason, it's scary, it's the unknown, we don't feel ready, you may have imposter syndrome, you may have doubts about what the other person feels, there's other people involved, if it's a relationship that's not in alignment in your life right now, whatever it is, if you are not making the changes needed to get into alignment, then you are doing two things. One, you are not receiving and acknowledging the message coming from these emotions. And so they're just going to get louder and louder and stronger and more intense until you do listen to them. But also, when you don't listen to them and when you don't make the changes in your life in order to be in alignment with who you really are, your authentic self, in order to be in alignment with what you desire for your life, with your values or your purpose here on earth, this is a form of self-abuse. You are basically forcing yourself to do something that is not in alignment with you. You are basically punishing yourself, allowing yourself to continue to do something that is not fulfilling for you, that you're not passionate about, that doesn't light you up. And, life is short. Allowing yourself to stay there and not having the hard conversations or not making the hard decisions that you need to make in order to change the situation is a form of self-abuse, self-abandonment, and it could even be a form of self-punishment. And this, understandably, is going to create a lot of strong emotions because it's going to create a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, dissatisfaction. And you can't love yourself if you're consistently punishing yourself and putting yourself in a situation that you really don't want to be in and is not in alignment with yourself. So your emotions come to tell you this and help you get on track when you're not on track. and help you know that you are on track when you are moving in the right direction. Now, the third reason why you might be experiencing strong or intense emotions could be your level of sensitivity. We all are different, of course, and we have different sensitivity levels. Some of us are more sensitive than others. Some of us are more empathic than others, and we can pick up on how other people are feeling. And we can sometimes unconsciously take that on, and then it just adds to our cup of whatever we already have there that's our own. And so it can more quickly fill up and begin to overflow. So being emotionally sensitive can be a really good positive thing. However, like most things, it depends what you do with it, how you use it, and how you manage it, because it could also get you into these intense emotional entanglements and situations that are not pleasant and not really necessary for you to experience either, and are just too emotionally intense and overwhelming. So if you do feel that you are a sensitive person, an emotionally sensitive person, pay close attention to the next two things I'm going to share with you that you can begin to do to manage your emotions in a healthy way and to process them and release them so that they don't get stuck in your body and they don't build up to the point of explosion, and to acknowledge your emotions and allow them to do the work that they came here to do, to help you get on the right path for your life. So the first thing that you want to do is to give yourself the time and the space needed to feel your emotions. I know that can sound maybe a little bit abstract. Like, how do I actually do that? Especially when you've been living most of your life ignoring and repressing your emotions. How do you actually feel them? Well, here's a process that's pretty simple that anyone can begin doing that I recommend, and that has been really helpful for me. So first is you do need to get into a space by yourself. You need a quiet, private space to be by yourself, ideally laying down on the floor or flat on a bed, but anywhere where you can get into sort of a meditative state and hopefully not be interrupted. Once you're there, you want to close your eyes, maybe take a few deep breaths. And the first thing is to just allow yourself to feel that emotion that's wanting to be felt, that's wanting to be heard. Think of your emotions as the inner child part of you that's inside of you, that's crying out for help, that's crying out to be heard or to be seen, to be understood for something that maybe it didn't fully get, but needed when you were a child. Listen to it and allow yourself to feel the emotion. If you're having trouble doing this, you can ask yourself some questions. For example, what is it that I'm feeling? What is this emotion? At first it may appear as anger, but perhaps there's something more there. Often anger is like a mask or a front for sadness or for fear. So maybe it's actually fear that you're feeling. The next thing is to ask yourself, where am I feeling this? Where in my body do I feel it? And just allow yourself to go within and to just drop into your body and feel if anything feels off or tight or different in your body. Perhaps your neck feels sore. Perhaps your legs or your feet feel heavy. Maybe you feel a tightness in your chest, or your heart is beating very quickly. Maybe your whole body just has shivers, right? What is it? Where in your body are you feeling this? How is this manifesting in your body? Then you can ask yourself, what does this really feel like? If I were to describe this emotion, how would I describe it? Maybe what color could I use to describe it? Or what image does it feel or kind of look like? Or perhaps it's more of just a feeling, a sensation. What kind of descriptive words can you come up with to describe what you're feeling? Because as you identify it, it's going to allow you to go deeper into it and feel it and also understand it more. And so sometimes just doing that is enough. Sometimes even just the first part without even asking any questions, but just being with yourself and just allowing yourself to feel it instead of trying to avoid it and run away from it, just allowing yourself to feel it, even though that can often intensify it in the moment, and it can feel even more intense and more difficult to just witness and experience. But that's all it wants, really, is to be witnessed. So when you do that, that can be enough. But if not, ask yourself these questions and you will begin to release it. After that, if you feel you want to talk to someone about it or write down what came up for you, what you're feeling in that moment, go ahead and do it. Whatever else you need to do, do it. But perhaps you feel like that's enough and it's just kind of dissolved itself already. And just do this every time where you have these intense emotions come up, if possible. And after doing this once, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll never feel that way again, or the same trigger won't come up and cause you to go down this same way of thinking. You may have to do it again or a few times. We are rewiring your brain here, teaching it that it's okay to feel, it's okay to have these emotions, because you're listening to them now, you're acknowledging them now. So they may continue to come up for a while, and actually you may find that at first they come up so much more than before, but it's because all of these emotions that have been trapped within you, repressed, are now like, oh my gosh, we can come up now, we're being acknowledged, we're being, we can be released now. And so it might come up a lot for a few weeks after that, but as long as you continue to do this, to practice this, with time you'll notice that you get triggered a lot less. And when you do, those strong emotions are going to be a little bit less strong and much less frequently. The other thing you can do, number 2, is to assess if something is not in alignment within your life. And perhaps you'll get some clues to this when you are doing this emotional experiencing that I just explained in number 1, this meditative state of allowing yourself to feel the emotions. You may make a connection, have an insight there right away. Oh my gosh, and this, I'm feeling this because of this thing in my life. But if that answer doesn't come through that process, perhaps journaling is a good option, or talking to a friend, or just meditating and being silent and going within yourself and reflecting on your life and asking yourself the hard questions. Do I really want to be doing this? Am I really happy right now in my life? Assess these different areas of your life to see if there is perhaps something that is not in alignment and therefore requires your attention and needs to change. And if it does, make sure to begin taking the steps, taking action towards making those changes. Even if maybe you're not able to fully make the change right away, what can you do now to begin? Maybe it's just making a plan of how you're going to go about this. Maybe it's researching a new place to live or other career options. Maybe it's joining some sort of course or doing something to help your relationship. Start doing something today that tells yourself that you are taking care of it, that you are not ignoring it, that you are not ignoring yourself, that you are not abandoning yourself, and you are working towards making these decisions that are going to put you back into alignment of living a life of purpose, of abundance, of love, of peace, freedom, a life that you deserve. If you would like to learn more about what your emotions could be communicating specifically, then check out the video that's coming up on the end screen here, and I'll also share the link in the description below. Make sure to just subscribe if you haven't yet for more videos like this, and let me know in the comments how you have experienced strong emotions and what you have been doing to manage them in a way that is healthy for you and for the people around you. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.